I'd like to call Alan Peterson back.
I thought I was going to get to sit down. I come to you with a budget expansion for budget 1551, correct, Barry? It's in the amount of $150,000 for the Carroll County shooting range, which most of you are pretty familiar with. It's Hunter Ed / federal dollars with the county making a match, so there are no state TWA dollars in this. It's all flow-through money, and I request the commission expand the budget in the amount of $150,000 for project 1551.
Commissioner Bledsoe, the Budget Committee, and I recommend passage of the proposed budget expansion of Carroll County Shooting Range in the amount of $150,000.
You have to get a motion in your committee first.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Bledsoe, again, we'll redo. The Budget Committee and I recommend passage of proposed budget expansion of the Carroll County Shooting Range in the amount of $150,000.
Thank you, Chairman Watson. I take that as in the form of a motion from the Budget Committee. This goes before the whole commission. Do I hear a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Wait a minute, I got a question.
Oh, sorry, discussion.
This is, I don't know how much we've put into this, and I'm certainly not objecting to shooting ranges, but how much more are we gonna put in Carroll County shooting range? I mean, we've got like $1 million in this facility, haven't we?
The last time I talked to Mayor McBride about this $150,000, I said I have orders from Director Carter that this is the last time you get the money, and Mayor McBride said, till when? So,
Yeah. I mean, what is this for?
This is for some of additional, I almost call it sprucing up. It's for some pavilions around the rifle ranges and chip sealing parking lots and driveways and more of the final touches rather than major construction.
And they're matching this out of their budget.
They're matching, yes.
So they're gonna have 150 to put into this.
Well, I think they're required 25%
Okay,
of the 150.
okay. So they're prioritizing what their money's going to, and part of it's this. Now we're gonna have a discussion with them next month about the lake.
Right.
Okay, so there's money, okay.
Any other discussion from the commission? Any from the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Chairman Watson.
I'd like to call Tim Churchill.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. I've got a budget expansion request. This is for surveys and appraisals on tracts of land that we're buying across the state. Some are uplands and most, about half of them are wetlands. This is for 2 different fiscal years. The current fiscal year for $200,000, next fiscal year for $300,000. Be 50% wetland dollars and 50% PR federal dollars. No licensed dollars in this. Most of these appraisals and particularly the surveys have to do with either new acquisitions or tracts that we have encroachment on or boundary disputes. And I did have a budget for this previously. This year it got zeroed out, so I'm still incurring those costs, and that's why I'm here.
Do I hear a motion from the committee? Thank you. Thank you. The Commissioner Bledsoe, the Budget Committee and I recommend passage of proposed budget expansion, appraisals and surveys in the amount of $200,000 and $300,000.
Thank you, Chairman Watson. I'll take that in the form of a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? Any from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you,
I need
Commissioner.
to ask Tim one separate question. Under Fayette County, the properties that are listed that we're trying to buy that are 10 or 15 miles west of the Wolf River WMA, these are down toward Rossville and Piperton and down in there.
Yeah.
And you've got them listed as Wolf River WMA.
Yes,
Is that,
they are
a
not Wolf
mistake
River
or-
WMA. That is a mistake.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
They haven't been proclaimed as part of the WMA. We'll move into the real estate report. See here, I think he opened it. This is my quarterly report of real estate activity in the various corners of our state. Try to make this a little bigger. All of you have a list of our transactions that are currently moving through the state acquisition process in your books. Where is this thing? There we go. That should be it. It's a little hard to see, but all of you should have that in your books as well, these maps. We've closed several tracts in West Tennessee since I was up here last. Most recently, this Adams tract has closed. None of these are extremely large tracts. In fact, some of them are rather small, but they're in holdings. Carrington tract down here near Decatur, or in Perry County rather, and Vinson at I think that was Spring Creek, and the Rogers tract down here at Walker's Branch, state natural area, and that's additive hunting land. We have a lot of fairly large tracts over here in West Tennessee that are in process. The biggest of which is this Heartwood tract up here. It's 2,800 acres roughly, and we should be closing on that within the next week. I did write a $1 million grant to cover part of that cost with NACA funds about a year ago. We do have quite a few in West Tennessee, so if y'all have any questions, I'll just sort of linger here for a moment, and if you have any questions about it, just let me know.
Commission, have any questions, commissioners?
Okay. Moving on to Region 2, we don't have a lot of activity going on over here. We do have this Pump Log Hollow tract that I was up here a month or two ago asking for funding for this. This is a bargain sale from the Nature Conservancy, about 1,000 acres, and we're getting a 50% discount on that. So that's in process now. In Region 3, the Plateau, still waiting on this very large Cunningham tract. It's almost 4,000 acres. It's an estate issue, and there's some tax issues around it, and it's been milling along for over a year now, and I'm getting some indication that we may be able to complete acquisition on that sometime this summer, hopefully. We did close a tract up here in Jackson County known as the Branton Tracts. That's additive to a couple, well, at least one other tract that we bought up there, and another that we plan to buy up there. So those things are moving along. This Lynn tract is up at the Boyles WMA. And over in East Tennessee, we've got a few things going on. I'm still trying to get these Topoco lands, the 3,600 acres transferred to us. That is a gift from the Nature Conservancy. And then we've got a few smaller tracts working up here in various parts that we're still moving along on. So with that, if there's any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Any from the audience? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Ken Tarkenton, please, for our financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There should be a two-page report in your book. Financial report, I'm reporting through the month of January 15. And at the top of the page, the boating fund revenue account is approximately 6% less than the same point in time last year with income. The expenses at this point is approximately 37% of the allotment. The middle of the page on wildlife revenue, we're a little ahead at 5% of our estimate for this fiscal year, and our expenditures are approximately 43% of the annual allotment. The watchable, the endowment accounts at the bottom, the watchable endowment has approximately $6,900 that can be transferred, has a balance of $5.9 million. The sportsman, lifetime sportsman account has $38,900,000. On the second page at the top, the wetlands acquisition fund has approximately $15,800,000 balance. We've zeroed the maintenance out as we usually do, and the compensation, or the in lieu of tax, which we should be receiving statements, well, we're probably a good month away before we will for the prior year. The balance currently is $824,000 in the in lieu of tax fund. Are there any questions or comments?
Ken, are we seeing an increase in our lifetime sportsman's license in lieu of the fact of our increase that's been announced? Are we seeing an increase right now of more? You haven't been able to see that?
No, I hadn't been able to see it, and we've had a couple of really bad weeks or 3 weeks, I guess, because of the bad weather. And that's probably, we can probably make that up, but I don't know. It could be that if somebody didn't buy something at that point, they're not going to buy it, later on. But early in the year, we will probably make some of that up.
The senior license, we have a total for the lifetime of 104,000. What is the total of senior licenses that are out there? Do we know that? I know we got a monthly of here, 510.
Do we know senior license, total senior licenses that we
Total
file?
number of people that are holding those
Yeah,
licenses
yeah.
now, around 170,000.
170.
So
We
that's-
sell 15 or 16,000 a year, somewhere along the line.
So that's 270,000 people that aren't buying an annual license from us. So we're losing recurring revenue from that.
Well, we won't be after July 1st, correct? Because there is going to be a...
Yeah. But I was adding lifetime and senior onto that. Any questions from the commission?
Yes, do we have a way of knowing how many of those lifetime license holders have died, or how many of the youth under 2 years old license hunters have actually used their license?
No, sir. Am I correct on that? We've not. We have or Barry has a more actuarial, I guess, table for the lifetimes that every year so many at a certain age from these tables are taken off as far as the how many are 2-year-old when the license was bought that are now age of hunting. We don't survey that. Is that correct?
Well, we know, of course, what age they are and when they're old enough that they would have needed a license, but.
But your
as far as
question is whether or not they hunt or fish.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know how many of the $200 or whatever the rate is now, youth license, lifetime license purchased are actually being used, because if a fair number of them aren't being used, then that's, money that is in there.
Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Mr. Chairman? Thank you, Ken.
Ken said that the license sales slowed down because of the bad weather and everything, and we did get hit with a double whammy on the weather, and I wanted to take a minute and thank all the staff and everybody that went out, and I think they assisted TEMA and are still working on some of our WMAs, clearing up and everything. Director Carter, you want to elaborate on what all we had been doing and assisting with?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll actually ask Darren Ryder to give you the details, but just to make sure the commission's aware, the governor signed an executive order a number of years ago that says each state agency will participate in the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, and we have 2 persons that are assigned continually as the people who coordinate those activities with TEMA. Our personnel, depending on the event, get probably called before anybody else. And I'll just mention, for instance, tornadoes that have been probably in Region 3 more than anywhere else, but in several of those areas, and in one or twice down when Jackson was really hit hard, our people get called out because they have the appropriate equipment. They have either the 4-wheel drives or the 4-wheelers. And then it's the same thing when there's a flood. Our personnel are called because we have the boats and the motors. And when the Nashville flood hit, just in the very, I guess, concentrated part of Metro, we had over 300 individual rescues by our personnel in that one flood alone, just in this one area. So that they're continually called out on things like that. TEMA will reimburse us if it's a federal disaster for a part of our work. If it's just things that happen within the states and it's localized and there's no federal declaration of a federal disaster, then the agency bears the cost of that. And we're glad to participate. It would be nice if there were some reimbursement, but we're glad to participate because we know we're a part of those communities, and that's where our people were called. When it happened up on the plateau, and most recently, we had several people, in my recollection, about 30, but that's where I'll ask Darren to come and give you those details. But we're extraordinarily proud of how they react, because it's, needless to say, it's some of the worst weather conditions that people could be out in, and a lot of times they're doing the activities that nobody else can get to those people for. So, we're very proud of what they do, proud to be a part of TEMA, and Darren Ryder is Chief of Enforcement Division. I'd ask him to come up and give you some more details.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Commissioner Bledsoe, for recognizing our TWRE officer efforts during this winter storm event. That event basically started February 16th and ran till the 28th. It came in a couple waves, and as Director Carter mentioned, it's globally, and so at some point we started out at a level 3 status, and it got raised to a level 2 status, and which encompassed a couple of days of closure of the state offices, which caused Rick nightmares on people counting hours and counting time. But it's quite an event, like Director Carter alluded to, is these guys and gals are to be commended for going above and beyond. Just some notes I have for our efforts in Obion, White, Cumberland, Putnam, Bradley, and McMinn counties. Motorist welfare checks on the interstates and secondary roads using our ATVs and our 4-wheel drive trucks. There was transportation of citizens from public shelters due to power outages, and also welfare checks at residents because of the tremendous power outages. And so those were some of the work done in there. And of a note, Hickman County, it ended up being a 12-mile backup on the interstate. So our guys were out there getting traffic turned around, trying to get them safe. And it's of note, if you'll remember, a couple months back, we honored the Officer of the Year, Billy LaGrange, for our state, and he just happened to be one on that detail. And the next thing you know, that fella's 5 miles down the interstate helping get vehicles turned around and doing welfare checks. Claiborne County efforts, delivery of food, water, and medicine to the rural areas of East Tennessee, and 30 residents were served, 396 meals delivered, 46 cases of water delivered, 3 people were relocated to temporary housing. And then actually 2 prescription medications got delivered by our folks. And some additional efforts, there was a generator set up needed in Monterey at the water plant that our folks up there helped out with, and a bunch of road clearing up in the Cumberland Plateau counties, and then even in East Tennessee at Norris Lake, our folks helped inspect 23 marinas because of some hazmat concerns. So those inspections were done by that. So we're that storm took There was 30 fatalities statewide, storm-related fatalities, so it was quite an event. And, you know, my personal experience growing up in Nashville is, Lord of mercy, you know, when you get a quarter-inch of ice, it locks up 1 million people. In Nashville, they can't function. So it was quite an event, but we try to reach out to our counterparts that were getting Maine and Connecticut, and I actually talked to our counterparts up there, and their 2 ways. Anyways, I called, and they got 50 inches, so you can imagine how they got hit. But that was a pretty good hit for us in Tennessee, and again, our officers are truly amazing at what they do, and we thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I lived up there. We were without power for about 4 days, so it was a nice change. We can deal with snow. With the ice, it just wreaks havoc on everything. So, Director Carter, do you have any further comments?
Just follow up on a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to recognize Owen Schroeder and Larry Woody, but both longtime outdoor riders in the state of Tennessee who have covered many events throughout my career. I'm really proud that they came back today. And I know they can't be here all the time, but thank you all for being here and for what you do for not only the sportsmen, but for the agency as well, and trying to make sure that we communicate with them and let people know what's going on. So just want to recognize them and say thanks. Way off to the side, since we were talking about TEMA, someday when we're just filled with nothing to do, I'll relate a story. Back when Darren and I used to work together in different roles, we responded to a flood one night, and 2 o'clock in the morning, big thunderstorm, flood going on. We lose power in our boat. Boat sank. You learn a lot about a person when you spend the night in a tree with them. So I'll relate that story to you sometime. But in any case, just want to make a couple other things. On your desk, there was some materials left by the Tennessee Wildlife Federation, and it relates to the Scholastic to Clay Target program. But you also, I think, should have gotten one of these. Just wanted to mention to you that Tuesday, April the 7th, they would certainly want to invite all the commissioners to participate in the activity they're having at the Nashville Gun Club, and hope that some of you can make it. It's an event that relates to shooting and shooting sports, and they'd like y'all to participate in that in terms of actually being a participant in the shooting as opposed to watching, and some of their SCTP program people will be there as well. They mentioned in the Tim's real estate report about the Branton track up on the plateau. I'll give you an exact date, but in October we'll be having the dedication for that essentially that whole complex up there, and probably declaring it, I guess, John, as a wildlife management area about that time. Yes, sir. So anyway, we'll get you those dates, but that'll be in October. So I think that was about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Carter. Before we move on, I'd like to thank Miss Jamie Woodson for the lovely book she gave all of us. Appreciate you. Anyone else on the commission have anything else they'd like to discuss?
I'd just like to add one thing. On April the 9th through the 12th, NRA is going to have its national convention here in Nashville. It will start at 2 o'clock on Thursday and run through 5 p.m. on Sunday evening. They will close off part of Fifth Avenue and have a free exhibit, an outdoor festival and fair. Our Tennessee Valley Safari Club is going to have its Wildlife on Wheels trailer that also has the agency logo on it there for viewing. So I would welcome anybody who's going to be around Nashville during that period to come down on Fifth Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioner Swan. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience have any other questions or anything they'd like to discuss? If not, the April Commission meeting will be in Paris. Where at, Miss Barbara? Don't know yet.
What's the name of that shooting range?
Oh, yes, sir. It'll be at the actual meeting will take place at the Holly Fork Shooting Range, which is just outside this, just down from the city of Paris.
Okay. At the Holly Fork.
That's Paris, Tennessee, by the way.
Yeah, Paris. We. Okay. The April Commission meeting will be in Paris, Tennessee at the Holly Fork Shooting Range on April 23rd and 24th. And that's a Thursday and Friday meeting. And if all hearts and minds are clear, we stand adjourned until then. That's what my preacher says.